Hello everyone!
Today we are attempting something crazy. Géographie now, Sweden. The video is 33 minutes long. It's almost 1 a.m. No idea what we are getting into, but our 12 dogs are sleeping, so we thought maybe this is the perfect moment to do it right now.
Yes!
By the way, if you want to support our channel, we have a Buy Me a Coffee, a channel membership. I know some of you also asked for your PO box address or something because you wanted to send us some food because you want us to try Swedish food. I will put the link in the description actually.
Let's get started!
Okay, let's go.
Sweden. I don't have to give much of an introduction. I'm sure you've all heard of this one. We've scaled the treacherous Danish peaks of Møllehøj, stomached the ammonia-flavored Icelandic Haukark, and our wallets were viciously attacked by Norwegian prices of anything. But now it's time. Welcome to the final boss of Scandinavia, Sweden. Ooh, it's hot. I'm all hot and sweaty right now.
Weird?
You know
Sweden
the
and
drill.
sweaty
Oh yeah, okay.
together. Sweaty. It's trying to be funny.
Oh yeah, Noah's back, by the way.
Here we are.
Yep.
It's time to learn geography.
Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. You can get a Geography Now t-shirt or Geography Now merch at geographynow.com. Not selling out if it's your brand. Anyway, alright you guys, this is it. Our last
let's
Nordic
focus.
country.
But what about...
You're a constituent.
But what about?
You're an unincorporated territory.
Svalbard.
But what about me?
We already did your video, I even went there. Okay, anyway, I actually wanted to go to Sweden for this episode, but at the last minute, Sweden was like, dude, we're gonna close off our borders to anyone outside the EU. But you know how it goes. The show must go on. And if we can't go to Sweden, we're gonna bring Sweden to us, and in the best possible way, with real Swedish people. And I mean like real Swedes, not those 5th generation Minnesota Swedes that eat lutefisk once a year. And so with that, say hi to Jonas and Carolina. Come on in. Woo! Yeah. I got 2 Swedes.
Yeah, we know because of Christina van de Verlene, Hélène Chéroms, Peter Jobak, and all of these musical theater play. That we know that a lot of Swedish people immigrated to Minnesota. It's one of the popular destinations.
Swedes. So you guys are the real deal, Swedish, straight up, right?
I was born in Sweden and lived there for 10 years, and then my mom moved me to the enemy, to Norway.
Oh, so you're half Norwegian, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm from Skåne, so we might have some angry people out
Skåne.
there claiming I'm Danish, but...
It was LA. You guys were the best I could find. So anything you want to say to the Swedish subscribers?
Nah,
Wow,
I'm
she
excited.
pronounced Skåne, Scanny. It's an A, but she pronounced like Skåne, like a
Skåne.
O. Yeah. it's
For you guys
interesting how she pronounced
to
it.
learn more about your country. Our country.
By the way,
Political.
where are you guys from?
I'm from Helsingborg.
And I'm from Skellefteå.
Now, there are many ways to divide
Skellefteå.
Europe. You know, like you have the Mediterranean. Tomato for sale, tomato. The post-Iron Curtain. The Balkans. But everyone knows the further north you go, things start to get delicious and sweet.
Anyway, lots to cover. Let's look at the globe.
Sweden lies in the region of Scandinavia in northern Europe and is the largest of all the Scandinavian countries, the 5th largest in Europe and 3rd in the EU. The country is bordered by Norway to the west and north, and Finland in the northeast, separated by the Gulf of Bothnia otherwise between them. In this gulf, you can also find Sweden's 2 largest islands, Öland and Gotland. Otherwise, in the south, the only other physical connection they technically have is with Denmark via the partially submerged and partially above ground Öresund Bridge.
Wow, Denmark
that
is
connects
small.
Malmö, the 3rd largest city, to Copenhagen. I'm trying my best with these pronunciations, bear with me. The country's largest city, though, and capital is Stockholm, located on the east side of the country, and it actually sits on 14 islands with over 50 bridges at the drainage
That's
of...
why!
Located on the east
That's
side
why
of the
when we
country, and it
react
actually
to
sits-
Stockholm's like, there's water everywhere. There's 50 bridge.
Yeah, that a lot.
And 14 island. And
no
it-
flood.
Yeah. No flood. Wait, do they flood? Does it flood?
I don't think they have a flood.
Maybe the sea level? You guys are lucky.
No!
In Thailand, it flood all the time.
No! It's not lucky because they know what to do.
Okay, maybe. Yeah.
50 bridges at the drainage of Lake Mälaren, with over 20 lakes and countless streams. This is why it is sometimes referred to as the Venice of the North. The country is divided into 21 counties, each abbreviated by a letter or double letter known as a country code. For the EU statistical system, though, the counties are grouped into 8 riksområden, or national
See,
areas,
everyone
to
live in
address
the-
things like population
the
data
south.
and so forth, but they in
country are huge on
themselves
the
do
north.
not have any administrative function. Otherwise, if you ask a Swede, they might revert back to the 3 traditional lands of Sweden,
to go
Norrland,
over there?
Svealand, and Götaland. Technically, Technically, there was a fourth, Österland, which was basically South Finland when it was under Swedish rule, but that term hasn't been in use since the 15th century. Anyway, Stockholm is also the central hub of economic activity and transportation. The largest and busiest airport is Stockholm's Arlanda International, which, like so many European international airports, is located super far from the actual city. It takes a 20-minute express train or 45-minute car drive to downtown. The second largest airport, Landvetter International, is located in the second largest city, Göteborg, or Gothenburg for the misguided English speakers. Göteborg,
Wait,
actually
what?
the largest city, Göteborg, or
Gothenburg.
Göteborg? It's Gothenburg? It's how to pronounce it in Swedish? Gothenburg? Wait, what?
the second largest airport, Landvetter International, is located in the second largest city, Göteborg, or
Göteborg.
Gothenburg.
Wait, I don't see any of those. That doesn't sound like Gothenburg.
Gothenburg.
Gothenburg. Maybe that makes sense.
Gothenburg for the misguided
maybe
English
that makes
speakers.
sense.
Göteborg actually also has the largest shipping port in the country and the largest in all of Scandinavia, taking in about a third of all
Wow.
Swedish trade activity. It
Look at
lies
the
on the
nice
Kattegat
visual.
and Skagerrak, the shallow straits that open up Scandinavia to the rest of the world. With other major cities like Oslo and Copenhagen within radius, here about 70% of all industry and commerce through Scandinavia happens. It's a busy spot to say the least. Finally, the country has quite an organized system of roads and rail networks that more or less parallel each other. There are two main north-south highways.
Wow, look at the
E4
road
that
at the
hugs
bottom.
entire Bothnia coast, and the E45, the longest road
Everyone
in the country
lived
that
there.
goes along the mountains inland from
Too
Göteborg
cold
all the
when
way
you
to
go
the
up.
border with Finland in the north.
Also, it's important to note that Sweden claims to have the most islands out of any other country in the world, at over 260,000.
Oh.
In any case, Sweden's domain wasn't always confined to these borders.
For starters, Sweden, being Scandinavian, obviously have Viking history. If you know anything about Vikings, you'll know that they went places.
They were literally in the Americas 500 years before Christopher Columbus.
And when they couldn't conquer an area, they still left their mark somehow. Even the Hagia Sophia in Turkey has runic inscriptions hidden on it.
It was like Viking graffiti, like Vikings were here.
On top of that, in the 1600s, Sweden started to become a European powerhouse, and like many other countries, took an attempt at settling and colonizing places outside of Europe.
At one point, Sweden had fortresses and colonies in the Americas, Africa, mostly in what now is Ghana.
Further, which it's more, within Sweden,
Where is
Africa.
that? In the US or Canada? What is that place on top left?
Mostly in what now is Ghana.
Further,
Like near New York?
within Sweden, you even have a few micronations.
We don't have time to get into each of them, but they're pretty interesting. One of them was made as a protest by an artist to protect those wooden sculptures.
Anyway, the developmental structure behind Sweden has a lot of history behind it.
Like Visby on Gotland Island, probably the best preserved medieval city in
Wow.
Scandinavia.
The Old Town Stockholm neighborhood of Gamla Stan was built as a fortress to protect against pirates.
Later on, one of your kings would...
The neighborhood
Look!
of Gamla Stan was built as
Look at the color. It's only in Europe that you have like yellow, red, green, white, brown, everything in the same like picture.
So clean though.
Yeah, it's super clean.
a fortress to protect against pirates.
Later on, one of your kings would actually become a pirate, but that's another story. In fact, the country has 15 UNESCO heritage sites. And actually, here's fellow geographer Rebecca to explain a little bit more about the top notable sites of Sweden. Rebecca, take it away.
Hi everyone, my name's Rebecca, and if you're ever in Sweden, here are some of the most notable sites. There are plenty of notable castles, fortresses, and cathedrals, such as Drottningholm Castle, Gripsholm Castle,
What is this guy
fortresses
doing?
and cathedrals, such as Drottningholm
I thought he was beating someone, but they're fighting. Okay.
Castle, Gripsholm Castle,
Wow.
Castle.
Örebro Castle,
Castle is different.
Wow. It look fake. It's so pretty. It look fake.
But-
Visby
What?
Town Wall, Uppsala
Oh, okay.
Cathedral, and St. Mary's
A cathedral.
Cathedral.
Wow.
Sweden also has the highest concentration of runestones in the world, with the most famous one being
Oh.
Rökstenen. There's also many historical Viking sites, such as Birka Viking Village, Trelleborgen, Old Uppsala, and Alestenar. If you're looking for more
Whoa.
excitement, check out the theme parks Liseberg, Gröna Lund, and Skara Sommarland. Notable museums in Sweden are the Vasa Museum, ABBA Museum.
Oh, the Vasa!
Notable museums in Sweden
Yeah,
are the Vasa
we know
Museum.
Vasa.
We reacted to the video where they found the Vasa, right? After 300 something years, and there was 40,000. How many thousand items? And a lot of them were intact because of the mud that it
Yeah.
was stuck in it. So the item were intact. I don't know like what the value is of everything.
A lot, probably.
But now the boat is the real boat is in the museum. It's crazy. They found the boat like almost intact.
Museum, ABBA
ABBA Museum.
Museum, Fotografiska, and the Museum of Natural History. In Stockholm, you can find the newly renamed Avicii Arena. It also acts as the sun in the largest scale model of our solar system. Thank you, and I hope you come to visit Sweden someday.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Speaking of Swedish places, like other Nordic countries, we have allemansrätten, which is the legal right to roam anywhere in nature.
Have you guys ever taken advantage of that allemansrätten thing? You just like pick berries.
Yeah, I mean, most places are owned by the country, so you're allowed to be there.
Can you just like walk in someone's backyard and be like, hey,
No.
allemansrätten?
No. It has to be
Certainly
public
not.
land.
Well, speaking of roaming in nature, there's lots to explore in Sweden, which brings us to... Now, in the Nordics, each country kind of has their own trademark physical trait.
You know, Norway has the mountains and fjords.
Denmark has the flat grassy farms.
Wow.
Finland is the land of lakes.
And Iceland is basically just one big volcano.
And then you get to Sweden and it's like a little bit of everything. Yes, there's even a small sand volcano in Simrishamn.
Whoa.
Sweden lies on the Scandinavian peninsula of northern Europe, shared with Norway, on the east side of the Scandinavian mountain chain that separates them. Here you can also find the tallest peak, Kebnekaise, in the far north. This means that Sweden gets most of its river runoff from the mountains that mostly flow down into
Really
the Gulf of
close to
Bothnia,
Norway.
and the longest river
Yeah,
shared
but
with
look.
Finland runoff from the mountains
North, where people don't live. There's not a lot of near Stockholms.
Like nature,
that
right?
mostly flow down into
Yeah.
the Gulf of Bothnia, and the longest river shared with Finland
The
being
river, I
Torne
mean.
or Tornio River. The longest river fully within Sweden, though, being the Dalälven River. Amongst these rivers is an abundance of lakes and ponds, peppering the flatter hilly valleys below, the largest of these lakes being Vänern and Vättern in the south.
Whoa.
The reason Sweden has so many of these
Probably so
pockety
big.
lake zones and eroded rivets is because they sit on a post-glacial rebound zone. Basically, during the Ice Age, all this land was crushed by heavy ice. But after the ice melt, like a sponge, Sweden started to slowly spring back up again. This means every year Sweden recovers on average about 4 millimeters of land from the sea. In some places, even more. This is why you might see extended piers from old homes that once used to be
Recover.
situated on
It
the
go
shore.
up.
The country
But
has four
me-
general
but
climate zones.
in
the
Thailand,
Oceanic
it's
zone in the south
sinking.
by the Baltic Sea.
Yeah.
This is also where most of the agriculture is situated. The continental zone is in the middle part of the country. And finally, the subarctic in the north, just above that. These areas have the highest forest concentration in the country. Also, the peaks of the
This is
mountains are
where they
classified
go for
as
the car.
tundra. The top
Hey, not only
15%
that, there's a lot of people also that live there that sometimes it's dark for like 24 hours. It's super tough for your mental. When like for a month or something, it's gonna be dark 24 hours. We had that too in Canada when you go up, but nobody lived there. You know.
I'm not gonna sleep when it's too dark.
Yeah, but you need to sleep during the daytime because sometimes it's gonna be the daytime all day too.
I like to sleep in the daytime because I feel safe.
Okay.
Sweden lies just north of the Arctic Circle, where the coldest temperatures and highest snowfall happens.
Wow.
Otherwise, in the
Ooh.
south, they might not even get any snow at all in the winter. Just cold,
Oh.
depressing rain. Numbers fluctuate depending on
Oh,
which source you
depressing.
study, but somewhere around or above 60% of the country is forested, making it the second most forested country in Europe after
It's similar
Finland.
to Canada actually.
It's also
in that
important to
regard.
note that Sweden has aprilväder, or April weather, in which,
It's pretty crazy.
yeah.
Pretty much anything can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the sun is finally out after 6 months of darkness. So clothes come off. We sit in the sun. Oh, whenever you see a Swede too, expect this. Facing the sun, eyes closed. And then all of a sudden a storm hits or snow
That one!
comes. Or
People love to
nowhere.
make fun of like white
The
people
interesting thing though
sometimes.
is that Sweden in the past was kind of not much like what they are today. In fact, at the beginning of the 20th century, much of Scandinavia was struggling with widespread poverty.
However, much like Germany's Wirtschaftswunder, they had the Rekordåren, in which Sweden's economy bursted with now industries and innovation.
And today you have the largest economy and most powerful nation in Northern Europe.
To explain a little bit more on the way Sweden takes what it has and flourishes, here's Noah. He's back!
Well, here we are. Once again, let's get to it. Despite having lush green lands, only about 7% of the country is arable. Therefore, agriculture isn't exactly their main focus. Today, much of Sweden's open market economy is heavily based on exports, especially in the timber and mining sectors. The largest mine in Kiruna is actually so large they are currently in the process of moving the town and residents to make more mines. This is how Sweden in the 21st century became the world's 6th largest iron ore exporter and 3rd largest stainless steel exporter. And of course, lumber. The Swedes love trees so much that a long time ago during famine times, they would put crushed tree bark into their rye bread, which was actually good because the bark
What?
had lots of minerals and fiber. Go figure. The lumber
He put the tree bark in the bread. That's what he said. Because you can eat it and it give a taste, I guess. Do you still do that? Wait, maybe I had it before. I don't know.
I don't know.
He put that in the bread. He said it casually, like it's no big deal. But
Which was
I have to
actually
take a look
good
at this.
Yeah,
because
some
the bark
tree you
had
can eat it,
lots
so
of
no
minerals
big
and
deal.
fiber. Go figure. The lumber industry plays a huge role in their world-renowned furniture commerce. We've all heard of
IKEA.
IKEA having over 450 stores in about 60 countries. IKEA. They actually studied that in design
We
school.
have it in Canada.
True, Noah?
That is true. Not that I do it, but here we are. You might be familiar with other Swedish companies like Electrolux, Ericsson, H&M, Saab, Scania, Spotify, and of course the largest domestic company and only one on the Fortune 500 list, Volvo. Great cars, I might say. And that is that. Until we meet again.
Thank you, Noah.
Now, going off of business talk, domestically, Sweden does have a pretty complex system when it comes to taxes that plays into their fiscal structure.
As of 2021, their individual tax rates range from about 32% to 52% based on income bracket margins. And that's not even including other factors like corporate value added taxes, which can be up to 25%.
When you add them, you get the second highest total tax revenue behind Denmark as a share of its country's income.
Yeah, that's
You
guys
get a
kinda
lot
have
in
high
return,
taxes.
though.
We also have healthcare.
And good schools.
And good
And
roads.
we get free food, roads.
Roads. In any case, another interesting thing about Sweden is its wildlife. And with that, here's Gary Harlow to explain.
Guess who's back? As a Nordic country, Sweden is obviously a place full of cold
Lynx?
climate animals. In fact, they
Look
have
like
the
lynx.
third highest
Moose.
number of their national animal, the moose,
Oh,
or the
this one.
Eurasian elk, after Russia and Canada. There's so many
Yes.
moose that they actually have to hunt around 100,000 every year to maintain population
That's not a
control,
lot.
killing your national animal.
Wow. They need to on them and kill them to make sure that there's not too much.
Wait, why I said that not a lot? 100K.
No. They need to kill 100,000 every year.
Oh,
They need to kill some of them because there's too many. That's not the number that they have. They have way more. They need
Oh
to kill
my
that number
God,
every year.
really?
Yeah.
are you gonna eat it?
It's rare because usually like we need to fight for the animal to not be extinct, right? Because people are killing them too much. But
Yeah.
in Sweden, they have an opposite problem. They have too many. They make too much babies.
Oh.
It's crazy, huh? When you think about it.
100,000 every year to maintain population control. Killing your national animal because there's too many. Go Sweden! There are 30 national parks and nature prediction zones, and the most famous being in the North Lapland areas where reindeer, muskox, grey owls and brown bears can be spotted roaming freely. Fun fact, reindeer have climate-adapted feet in the summer. Their spongy foot pads are more exposed, which help with traction. But in winter, the pads shrink and the hoof is exposed, which helps cut into the ice when moving. Finally, Sweden is one of the few places in the world with a
Okay, can anyone tell me what is this guy accent? Is he Swedish? I don't understand a single word when he talks. Do you understand?
Yeah, crazy.
I struggle to understand.
I'm
Does he
trying.
have a Swedish accent?
I mean, I kind of understand, but
I know what he's
tone-
saying, but he's like he's from a deep part where
into the ice when moving. Finally, Sweden is one of the few places in the world with a real taxidermised whale. The mouth used to be open for visitors to walk into, but it was closed off to the public because a couple was caught having sex in it. Speaking of making babies, I made one myself. Here's a photo of my daughter. She's beautiful.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, I remember the first meal I had in Sweden was reindeer meatballs. You guys love your reindeer. What's your favorite dishes in Sweden?
It probably is reindeer meatballs. Yeah.
I would say salmon. Grilled in summer, oven baked in the winter.
Oh yeah, and you guys know fika, right? Yeah, fika. It's funny because coffee was actually banned from Sweden like 5 times in the 1700s. But that's another story. To explain a little
Really?
bit more about fika and
Just
the food,
banned
here's
5
Johan and Rikard. All right, guys. Well, this is fika.
Oh, nice.
And to explain, here is Johan.
So in Sweden, fika is a huge tradition. It's something you do daily. It's a part of a workday break where you kind of like gather, you sit down, and you have coffee. Historically, it's been that 7 types of cookies minimum, plus cinnamon rolls and cardamom rolls, and then
oh my god, this look good. To have a part of the day when it's break. So it's not lunch. It's like maybe in the one time in the morning, in the afternoon, you have a break, probably paid work, and you can have your coffee.
This is a relaxing time.
Yeah, but it's nice. They must love their
pastries
coffee.
such as princess cakes.
Oh,
and
princess
other things.
cake.
Every day, but not necessarily this many sorts. I wanted to give you a cross section of what it could be. So, and then the most famous on the bottom would be the princess cake.
So if I'm gonna try some, I have to have some marzipan. So many layers.
I know.
Wow.
And
Hello there, my name is Rick and I'm here to talk about some of the food. We have kroppkakor or palt, depending on if
Whoa, 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 Rickard. Whoa.
We have kroppkakor or palt.
Potato pork dumpling. Oh my god.
Wait, is
this
it a
so good.
potato with that lingonberry again?
Oh, lingonberry.
Orange,
Yeah,
yeah,
we
yeah.
saw lingonberry. You guys have lingonberry in everything.
Depending on if you are from the north or south. Sill, or as you will call it, herring.
Oh.
Seal. I don't know what that is.
We have
Reindeer, okay.
pea soup,
I love pea soup.
cauliflower soup.
Cauliflower soup. This one is the one that smelled terrible. So storming. You saw, I saw in a video people puking when just smelling it.
Actually, because in Thailand we eat the fermented fish, right?
Oh.
I'm so curious.
Do I eat it?
Thing. No, you don't like it.
Oh.
It's in my papaya salad a lot.
Oh, so maybe you're gonna like this then. Since you like fermented fish in
True.
Thailand. Okay.
Or sour herring, but eat at your own risk.
Yeah.
All these foods can be eaten at the traditional
Buffet.
smörgåsbord, or smörgåsbord, basically a Swedish buffet. We also have kalles or Charles caviar. It's a Swedish style of smoked cod roll.
Pasty?
That's super expensive. And of course we have
wait.
knäckebröd
What?
cod
That
roll.
things. I used to had it, but I don't think it's this brand. I really like it, but I don't know why I cannot find it anyway. Like I eat it.
Was
like
it from Sweden?
I don't remember, but it's like a toothpaste, and I really love it. It's like condensed milk, and they have like some kind of milk flavor thing like that, and it's just like
This one is
push it
cod.
out.
It's fish though.
Oh,
It's cod
like a
roe.
cat,
Huh?
like for cat or something.
No.
But for human.
It's for human, but it's smoked cod roe. It's it's fish.
And then you
Yeah.
spread on something.
I guess so.
That's
Pasty,
super
yeah.
expensive. And of course we have knäckebröd! And the traditional
biscuit.
national dish of Sweden, Swedish tacos. Over to some drinks from
Oh,
Sweden.
really?
We have akvavit, or flavored caraway liquor. Julmust on Christmas, and påskmust on Easter. Glögg, we have glögg. And
Glögg.
of course my personal favorite, punch. It's
Punch.
made by the mixing of spirits like arak, brandy or rum with arak tea with some sugar and water. Very sweet, very strong, and very nice.
Like it?
Thank you, Johan and Rikard. Oh, yeah, you guys also have something about like the alcohol in Sweden. Can you guys explain what is that?
It's called the Systembolaget, which is like the Swedish system of selling heavily regulated alcohol at state-owned stores at set prices.
So you can be 18 and go to a bar to get liquor, but you can't buy it at a store until you're 20.
Correct.
Logic,
Logic, yeah.
The way it goes is that Norwegian people go to Sweden to buy alcohol, Swedish people go to Denmark to buy alcohol, and Danish people go to Germany to buy alcohol.
You guys all have a system.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a
you break
system
the
for cheap
rules,
alcohol.
so fine.
So there's probably a bunch of 16-year-olds taking a ferry over to Denmark.
The ferry itself is a market.
I've been on that ferry. I've been on that ferry with my mom between Helsingborg and Helsingør. Oh, and a funny story, I was told when potatoes were introduced to Sweden, it was kind of like this. What are these things?
Well, obviously, liquor.
And that's how aquavit was born, supposedly. Oh, and what's that thing about candy on Saturdays? Explain.
Lördagsgodis. You get to eat candy on Saturdays. So when we were kids, we got a little amount of money. We got to run to the store and pick our favorite candy. It's amazing. Best in the world. I mean, yes, good ingredients. When you come here, pretty much half the ingredients of American candy is illegal in Sweden. So.
Yeah, we do that. Well, on that note, we've talked a lot about some of your small little traditions.
not really
Let's
sure
explain
that
a
I
little
ate
more
candy.
in... I asked geography Johan to explain Swedish people and what they're like, and he described it something like this. A Swedish person is pretty reserved. They will definitely help you, but probably won't take the immediate initiative to help you. The way I see it, it's kind of like,
Oh no, I hope I don't fall. Oh, I'm falling. Oh, and I dropped my
Remember this?
wallet. And I got
When
the
they're
results of the
drunk?
test back. I definitely have breast cancer. Can you help me? Or...
Oh, I'm sorry. You're not supposed to help me. Oh my god. Yeah. Here's
also, what are some other kind of taboos in Swedish culture? What do you think?
I guess when you get on the bus, if there is another available seat and you go sit next to someone, don't do that. Just don't.
And don't have too much eye contact in general.
Preferably none.
Explain, what is logom and jantelaw?
It's a law that basically tells you that don't think you're better than anyone. It's like, don't tell people that you got good grades. Just get them and move on.
I remember this.
Still, kind
It's
of.
don't tell people about your salary too, right? I think, and stuff like this.
Yeah, we reacted to what.
To a video that explained the pet peeve or something. Yeah.
Let them see it on.
Yeah, it's definitely based on status.
Lagom is this word that does not exist in English, and it basically basically means not too much, not too little, just the perfect amount. I would say that a Swedish person is generally intelligent. Is that full of myself saying that?
Nah, it's just a result of our educational system.
That's right.
But part of the culture,
Making fun of
you're not
American
allowed to
there.
do that, right?
Well, we're not allowed to brag. No, but now we're in America, so.
Well, that was a discussion. Any case, let's break down the population of Sweden.
Sweden has a population of about 10.25 million and has one of the oldest populations in the world at about 41 years of age on average.
Wow.
About 75% of the country claims to be ethnically Swedish, and this is where things get a little complicated. For the remaining 25%, the Swedish government doesn't have any official statistical data on foreign
Why?
background, but what we do know is that of these people, about 2 million of them were born abroad, and about 600,000 were born in Sweden as second generation with foreign parents. We also know that as of 2020...
Wait, 2 million? It's 20% of the population that is not born in Sweden. That's a lot.
True.
That means that it's all recent migration. It's recent. Like, that's a lot.
Well, as we know that they accept everyone.
Yeah, but I think that number, the 75%, is going to go down, actually, just by looking at this, because those 2 million are going to have babies. You know, it's going to grow to 600,000 to a
Due
lot
to the
more.
refugee crisis, the largest immigrant
Oh, yeah, the
communities had
refugee
origins
crisis.
mostly from Syria and Iraq, which surpassed Finland and Poland in the 21st century for the largest foreign-born communities.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Whoa.
the refugee thing later. But in the meantime...
More than
Sweden uses
Finland?
the Swedish krona as its currency.
And we use the type C and F plug outlets, and we drive on the right side of the road. But we used to drive on the left side until September 3rd, 1967.
When the högertrafiksomläggningen was instituted.
And it was a crazy time. People were all confused and jamming into each other. In Sweden, the official language is, shocker,
Svenska.
Swedish.
But the funny thing is, even though Swedish originated and has pretty much always been spoken natively in Sweden, Swedish actually only became official in the country in 2009.
Yeah. Yeah, they kept kind of arguing about it. It was like...
No, it might be seen as more difficult for international issues. It might be seen as discriminatory, maybe, for those who don't speak Swedish. God!
So let's break this down. The country is called Sweden. What the do you think people should speak in Sweden?
And that's how Swedish became the official language of Sweden.
We've explained this before, but the 3 Scandinavian countries can all more or less understand each other. If you learn one, you can pretty much kind of communicate with the others. It's just, you know, when they hear Danish, it's like...
Oh, hey, Denmark. Interesting.
And the interesting thing is that the Swedish language
So
has
you have a potato in his hand?
Here's geography
That's the equivalent of a potato?
So yeah, Swedish is a very hard language to learn. We also have pitch dialect. Some words look and are pronounced exactly the same, but have different meanings. So the word plan, it can mean a plan, like having a great plan. It can also mean pitch, like a football pitch. Football's plan. Banan, which means banana, but if you pronounce it banan, it means the track.
Thank you, Marcus.
In any case, on top of that, there are also 5 protected languages in Sweden. Finnish, Menkal, Sami, Romani, and Yiddish.
Also, Sweden has a lot of regional accents.
If she spoke her native language right now, or...
You don't even say dialect, you say language.
Native dialect, I wouldn't understand a word.
Say the most difficult southern Swedish thing you can say.
Okay, this is not my accent, okay? Disclaimer. Det är nämnt men tradigt och köra rulleball.
It is easy but difficult to drive a roller coaster.
Wheelbarrow, but that was really good.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, all right,
Yeah.
all right, all right.
You thought wheelbarrow was roller coaster. Whoa! In any case, Christianity was introduced in the 9th century. Today, most Swedes, regardless of their level of religious devotion or lack thereof, are at least registered with the Swedish Lutheran Church.
And like the Danes and Norwegians, they have their confirmation ceremonies at age 14 or 15.
In old times, ancient Swedes and the Norse people followed the Asatru religion, you know, where Thor, Odin, Loki, all of them were from.
Otherwise, Sweden is a constitutional monarchy, although they are mostly seen as just figurehead celebrities with almost no actual legislative power.
Same in
Today,
Canada,
the royal
actually.
family is actually French descended.
For what it's worth, being the largest of the Scandinavian countries, Sweden has a lot on its plate.
In general, most people would say that the system works. Yes, we do have one of the highest life expectancies in the world at over 82 years.
People get paid to go to schools they are accepted in.
Healthcare is free for people under 18. Dental is free.
What?
People get paid to go to schools they are accepted in.
What?
This is gonna make me want to go to school.
Wait, what? You get paid to go to school, and me in Canada, I still have 1 year of student. I'm gonna end up paying my student loan when I'm 40 years old, and you get paid to go to school. Wait, wow. Talk about investing into your people. Not having them on student loan.
They're gonna make kids really like, oh, I wanna go to school today because I'm gonna get salary.
No, I don't think that's the point. I think it's more university, not necessarily like high school. Healthcare?
Healthcare is free for people under 18. Dental is free for anyone under 23.
Otherwise, there are...
Wait, I thought healthcare was free for everyone, not just under 18.
Oh.
Oh, okay. There's a price cap on service when you're an adult.
Okay.
So is it something that comes from your salary? Like a percentage that comes from your salary?
Like in your country?
In Canada, yes. You have an healthcare portion in your salary. It's small and it covers everything though, not just like whatever.
There are price caps for medical and pharmaceutical services, and they are usually cheap.
However, for the population, there is a bit of a shortage in medical facilities, and like most state-subsidized healthcare systems, wait times can be an issue sometimes, and they follow the 0-30-90-90 rule. This rule states that a person cannot wait more than 90 days to see a specialist and 90 days after diagnosis to receive surgery unless it is deemed an emergency. This means that the worst...
Yes, when I had my cornea transplant for my right eyes, right, I waited 3 years because it was not considered an emergency. I was able to go in front of some of the older people in line, but you need to wait for someone to pass away and to donate their cornea. And I waited 3 years. If I could have gone to the private, but I would have paid $20,000. So I had to wait. They have a rules, it's 90 days unless it's an emergency. So to see a specialist. So it's really, really good. In the US, you can wait like forever. You know, it's so expensive.
Case scenario, potentially, it could take almost half a year to get treated.
This is one reason why 1 out of 10 Swedes actually prefer private insurance, which was, made available in 2010 rather than relying on universal healthcare system.
Otherwise, we aren't going to fully sugarcoat this episode. Everyone knows that Sweden has seen quite a few drastic changes in the past decade or so.
In Europe.
During the 2014-15 refugee crisis, Sweden saw a wave of asylum seekers, mostly from Syria and Iraq.
Obviously, this unexpected influx in such a short time, barely allowing the new immigrants time to integrate, kind of played out in many ways that made international news.
Now, this is where the narrative kind of steps on thin ice because you want to be seen as compassionate, but you also can't avoid the fact that statistically problems that quiet Sweden had never really seen before obviously kind of started to arise. We've seen the...
See? That's what I said. That's always my thought is that there's a dilemma between you want to help countries that are at war, right? That want to go and seek asylum in your country, but at the same time, you already have your problem in your country.
Yeah.
So like you have people that come, they don't speak the language. So at first, the people that come to Sweden, if they don't speak English and they don't speak Swedish, they're gonna be kind of useless to your economy, right? So you're gonna invest in them to go to school and everything. So you're gonna lose money, and you're hoping that they're going to bring you money back after that when they're going to join the workforce, right? But some of the time, they end up isolating themselves into ghetto area of Sweden or other country. And they stay within their group and they don't really take part of the Swedish society. They don't even learn the language and just quit. So they become kind of a pariah or a burden. So it creates a lot of people are upset about that.
Yeah, that's why sometimes, they have a group, thing like that. And then the more that you poor and it make the society going bad, like a thief, thing like that, murder, whatever going on. That why it's make like some areas really dangerous.
So geez.
Is that scary?
No, it's fine. You can have your own opinion, I guess.
No.
I'm a lot more left-leaning when it comes to immigration, but I understand that Sweden have problem right now.
No, I'm trying to think when people, they are depressed, right? Like the society not really accept them. Like you said that they cannot speak, so that's why they stay in their community. And then like, for example, like they make baby and then they just know themselves and then they're gonna create a gang. Like back in the day when Lao people or Vietnamese people go to America, thing like that, and then they had to like create a gang for themselves to survive because there's like a lot of racism going on.
Yeah, I know, but when you open your border to everyone, not everyone that's gonna join your country are gonna be good people. There's always a risk. It's never gonna be perfect.
And also like there's also a lot of people that really like work to live there, like people that can work for you, like a doctor, dentist, thing like that, people that a teacher that they can, like a scientist, thing like that. There's still like good and bad.
Yeah.
But still, I still not really like to open like all the border because there are also some country that love to announce like, come here. But then in the end of the day, they close the border.
Yeah, but the thing is, you want to do screening, right? But the problem is that when the country's at war, you don't have time to check everyone one by one.
No.
Are you a good person or no? Sometimes you just need to escape a place and go to another place. You don't have time to screen people, you know?
But it's because of sometimes the country collapse and then you cannot send their citizen go back to the country. Right?
Yeah, or sometimes they need to escape a difficult climate in their country. There's war in Syria, in Iraq, you know, they need to Libya.
Wait, is it difficult that the country that destroy that the other country and then have to make like responsibility? Like you need to live in that country that won the war. It's gonna be so cruel, right?
I guess, yes, of course. Yeah.
News features riots, multiple cities, crime rising. But at the same time, you also want to be seen as compassionate, but without sidestepping the issues. So the question was, how?
Well, it's not an easy question to answer.
So I don't know, what do you guys think of that whole situation of the drama?
You can see it as either win-win or lose-lose in many ways, because if you're completely against taking in immigrants, you're basically considered a racist. And if you're trying to turn a blind eye to the fact that, you know, crime has risen a lot the last years, then that's not great either. So I think this is a fairly new problem, and it takes some time to really figure it out.
It's difficult.
And kind of a discussion of how to help people, you know, integrate into the society in general.
Swedish society.
I think integration is keyword.
You know, half the people are gonna argue for all the benefits of opening our country up and helping people, and those are huge as well.
Yeah. See, this is kind of part of the complication of Sweden. There's always like a dichotomy of ethics and consequences within their story. For example, they've been neutral, or at least on paper, for 200 years, yet that neutrality has always kind of been tested throughout the time.
In World War I, our choice not to intervene pretty much costed us a chance to integrate the Åland Islands.
And in World War II, Sweden took like almost all of Denmark's Jewish refugees. However, they did trade with Nazi Germany and let them use the railroad.
But it's like, what other choice did they have when they just witnessed and saw Denmark getting demolished and attacked and occupied in like 6 hours? It's like, do you stay neutral yet technically cooperate, or fight back with no chance and lose everything? So many heavy choices with no simple answers. Well, that was fantastic and uplifting.
In any case, we must move on. One thing Sweden definitely does actually feel uplifted by would be their heavy involvement in sports.
And with that, Art usually fills in for the sports part, but again, he's still on vacation with his family, so I don't know. Noah, why don't you fill in? All right, Noah, you got to be Art this time. He's gone, so, you know.
No.
Oh, so it's his dog.
And you go too.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Sorry, but sports in Sweden. Fun fact, they actually won a half medal at the 1900 Olympics, technically. They teamed up with Denmark in the tug-of-war event. Yes, there actually used to be a tug-of-war event
Tug-of-war?
which does sound pretty cool.
Really?
Why would you get rid of that?
That's
I'd go to the Olympics
crazy.
and do tug-of-war. That'd be pretty awesome.
You could just be your own team, Noah.
There are two sports that kind of originated in Sweden, brandball and floorball. Brandball
What
is kind of
the
like
hell is
baseball, and
this?
floorball is basically like hockey with a ball on the floor. So the thing about Sweden is that each of their neighbors is kind of like their biggest rivals in a certain sport. And of course, we can't mention football without mentioning their biggest
Zlatan
player,
Ibrahimovic.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic. But depending on who you ask, many people might say that ice hockey is the national sport. In 2006, they became the first and so far only team to win both tournaments in the same calendar year, Olympics and World Championships. They're part of the Big Six that are considered the best ice hockey teams in the world, including Canada, Czechia, Finland, Russia, and the United States. That's the sports parts.
Thank you, Noah. So much culture in Sweden. Actually, if you want to learn more about it, just read The Adventures of Niels. He rides a goose around Sweden and learns some life lessons along the way or something.
With that, here's Random Hannah with culture stuff.
Hey guys, I'm back. Woo! In Sweden, you'll find that every
You think she
region
sound
has
like
its unique identity.
Yes.
For example, the
Yeah, I
Sami
watch-
people of Lapland in the north, they have their reindeer herding, tents, and cult
And
or yaki
amazing
clothing.
music
If you go to the south in
from Sami.
Skåne, though, you'll find a
Skåne.
radically different culture of glass blowing and silversmithing, stuff like that. Of course, we don't have time to dive into all the regions, but one thing you'll realize is that they all have a traditional costume or folkdräkter. One thing you will see all over Sweden is a typical redwood farmhouse. They also have the dalahäst, a wooden horse usually painted red with patterns. And speaking of iconic animals, Swedes actually love Donald Duck, even more than Mickey Mouse. And every year during Christmas, they show Donald Duck and his friends wish you a Merry Christmas on the TV. Sweden also has many notable individuals in the arts and literature department. And probably the most critically well known is Anders Zorn, who is commissioned to paint numerous high-profile figures. Swedes are known for their crime, fiction, drama, and literature. They love the complex,
Have you watched
moody scenarios. Many people attribute this guy, I'm not even going to try and say his name, as a founder of modern Scandinavian crime fiction. But the #1 best-selling Swedish author of all time is actually Astrid Lindgren. You've probably heard of her Pippi Longstocking series. And speaking of consumable media, if you want to learn about culture, history, and geography through film, check out Filmography Now, where we talk about people like Ingmar Bergman, who is a huge influential person in the film industry.
Filmography Now,
From
nice.
Sweden. Finally, Sweden is known for having a ton of inventions and discoveries, such as nicotine gum, the pacemaker, the 3-point seatbelt, GPS, ultrasound,
The
nicotine
seatbelt.
gum, the pacemaker, the 3-point
The pacemaker, and this guy, the guy that created the 3-point belt system, he gave his patent away, I think, for $1 or something.
Yeah, because he cared about the safety.
But I think it's been since then. Did he put another patent on it?
seatbelt, GPS, the ultrasound, dynamite, and the Celsius temperature scale. And 4 elements on the periodic table were named after the town Ytterby. I give up, guys. Too many strange vowels and sounds. And one thing you should give up on is Keith and his music segment. Take it away, Keith.
Wow, so we're finally talking about this country that I have, like, totally not any sort of bias towards. Oh, wait, hold on. I think I'm forgetting something. I hope everybody recognizes my favorite Swedish band right here. Let's talk about Sweden, shall we?
Spett?
Technically, Sweden
I don't even know
doesn't
that
have a
band.
national anthem. So they have this one song. It's called Du Gamma Du Fria.
Du Gamma
I
Du
guess it's
Fria?
the de facto anthem, but not the official one. There's tons of really great Swedish folk songs accompanied by the Swedish nickel harp. Kind of looks like a keyboard mixed with like a violin.
Oh, yes.
Who likes Strandberg guitars? I do. Just so many great guitar players. Per Nelson, greatest guitar player I think out of Sweden.
Whoa.
There's also Yngwie Malmsteen.
Oh, yeah, we
Ola
reacted to
Adlund,
that
Michael
guy.
Ackerfeld. I don't understand why Scandinavia has produced some of the world's greatest guitar players. Anyways, Sweden has also a very pop-centric side. Who doesn't know ABBA? I Want to Be a Dancing Queen. ABBA won in 1974 for the Eurovision contest. Also, now ABBA's actually going to be making a new album after doing 40 years of basically nothing. Since then, Sweden has been kind of the pioneers of like electro pop and dance music. More well-known artists might be like Avicii, the Carnigans, Swedish House Mafia, Roxette. Funny thing is, a lot of American pop songs were written by Swedes. Max Martin has hundreds of songs.
I mean, we reacted to Max Martin, right? This guy wrote like infinite amount of songs.
Almost.
He's like a legend. The legend that not a lot of people in North America know. I didn't even know about him before we reacted to Swedish content.
Like sometimes people even say that if the song is like this old, it's probably like Swedish people that wrote it. You know,
Yes,
they
because
even
you look
know
at the melody,
style.
yes, the Backstreet Boys, or you look at the melody of a lot of songs in the US and you're like, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, that sounds like it's probably from Sweden because of the beat, right? You can tell that it's from a composer from
Before I
Sweden.
go, some of the bands that I really do enjoy are Opeth, Meshuggah, Pain of Salvation, Sabaton.
Oh, yeah, Sabaton.
Weird Fish. I wish I could name them all. Anyways, you guys have a great one. Love y'all.
Thank you, Keith. Any music suggestions for Swedish music?
Robin. She's a great musician.
Benjamin Ingrosso is killing it.
Well, speaking of which, Carolina is a musician and an artist, and you can follow her Spotify at this link right here.
I'm not the only one.
No. Well, I will promote it. I will promote your Spotify. Don't be all Logum or Yantalo and whatever that is on me. You got to promote yourself. This is America.
So far released 3 Swedish songs, 1 English one.
You want to promote anything? You have a website? Anything?
No.
You were in a Norwegian movie and it got an Emmy Award.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, your music has touched the world in so many ways. And another way Sweden has made its name across the world is by interacting with it. So let's move on to the friend zone.
The friend zone. Let me guess. Norway, Denmark,
Sweden has an
Finland.
interesting way of dealing with the rest of the world.
They kind of have a hands-off unless really necessary approach to international conflict.
For one, their security doctrine states that they have a nonpartisan stance in regards to military alliances. However, it permits cooperation with threats against peace security with their military.
Wait, but that changed recently to join NATO.
Yeah.
So this changed actually. Them in Finland, it's changed.
Yes, Sweden has a military. Nonetheless, they joined the EU in 1995, which some criticized as being against neutrality, but Sweden decided to see it as an extension of economic activity that had already been going on with the EU, and they also hold the right to not participate in EU defense. Today, they have 79 embassies abroad on all inhabited continents. In Asia, Iraq actually has had relations way before conflict years, dating back to the 30s, when members of the royal family visited Baghdad to see King Ghazi of Iraq. In the 80s, Swedish Swedish companies opened up in Iraq, trade was developing well for a while, and after conflict years, many Iraqis chose Sweden as their destination as refugees. The USA and Canada have always been close, as the US has the largest Swedish diaspora community at over 4 million people, most heavily concentrated in Minnesota. Canada having just about 500,000 with a huge community in Manitoba. Between 1820 to 1930, about 1.3 million Swedes immigrated to the Americas, which was at that time about 1/3 of the entire country. And today, these nations not only had a close historical bond, but in almost every diplomatic measure aside from military conflict, they've cooperated. Bringing it closer to home, Sweden is actually one of the top donors of Moldova in regards to aid and development. They set a strategy of cooperation in 2007, which gives 11 million euros dedicated to good governance, economy, and rural development. Now we go even closer to the inner circle, the Nordics. Every single one of these 5 nations and their territories has an opinion about Sweden, and the gossip is heavy. Finland is, of course, really close, as for about 600 years they were actually a part of Sweden. And today, Finns are one of the largest non-Swedish communities with a protected language in pockets throughout the country. For Iceland, it's like, we're cool with them, nothing against them. They talk like our ancient Norse ancestors, but otherwise, they're totally our distant cousins. Then we get to the last two, Denmark and Norway. Now here's the thing, each one kind of has a small historical gripe with Sweden. Denmark, as you know, has had more wars with Sweden than any 2 nations on Earth, constantly fighting over influence for Northern Europe. Norway was kind of pissed that Sweden's neutrality prevented them from intervening in war times when they thought the Swedish were like really close and Norway was even part of Sweden. This was especially evident in World War II. It was like the moment of tension. Nonetheless, at the end of the day, you cannot separate the Scandinavian trio. They just get each other too well. They share too much, they have the same general Scandinavian minds, they have that Viking blood, they are truly people of the North. After the insults have been hurled, they will probably say, okay, yeah, we love each other. Denmark and Sweden, though, will probably first hug Norway before hugging each other, but otherwise, yeah, inseparable trio.
All right, and in conclusion, you are the Swedes. I'm going to step out, hold the flag in the background while you speak freely from the heart.
I want to say, in conclusion, Sweden is a beautiful country with beautiful nature, beautiful architecture, if we haven't mentioned that just yet.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, if you meet a Swedish person, he or she might be a little I'm not sure about you, but lead on with a smile and some love, and you'll get the exact same back, I promise you.
I like that. That was good. All right, well, thank you guys so much for being in this episode.
Thank you.
And stay tuned.
Okay, it's all fine. Oh. Okay, I know it's finished.